course. Find what that deep. Okay, one at a time. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So before we get started, I'm so happy to get the opportunity to just talk with you because this was, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us can relate, people who are within my generation. The movie that you were in together, iconic! Yes. Okay, a little formative for some of us. Anybody who took any kind of martial arts thereafter because of said movie?
Yeah.
Yes, down the front, yes, correct.
I always know about Mortal Kombat. It's pretty interesting.
It's a little bit interesting. Can we actually first start by talking about, do you remember the audition process for that, and what was that like for you guys?
That's my part. The oldest part. That was a very, very difficult audition. It lasted for a long time, much prior to the movie. In my case, I was involved before the movie was put together, before the production. And we had to go with Larry Kazanov, the producer, and through the whole process of the casting department. And the casting, when I got all the list of people, you're not going to believe the amount we had. 6,000 people. 6,000. And yeah, it was completely crazy. And so I went through the process for about 2 months of having people coming and doing demonstration in front of me and my assistant. And the only person who didn't do a demonstration, actually did two, I'm lying, two, was Chris, because his level was much higher than everybody else. And so he was pre-approved already. And he didn't know that, but he was pre-approved. He didn't know that. And
I did have to perform.
Yeah, I know, but believe me, I know I signed the thing, so I know.
See, now I just learned something new after.
You know, yeah, it's true. More now, we started in '94, so
yeah.
That's 30 years. And then the other one was one of my assistants and good friend, Kari Tagawa, Chang Sung. So he was fifth dan in karate at that time. He was one of my assistants that I had the gold gym. So, but we had so many people coming from so many countries. It was insane. From Kung Fu to Karate to Hapkido, Taekwondo, Prime Mantis, you name it. I mean, everything, Pancras Silat, everything. So we had a lot of crap to go through. And I mean, indeed, okay? So in this movie, the characters, and you know that better than anybody, you know, the main characters, even though we died fast, are Scorpion and Sub-Zero. And they had to be very special. You know, I was not supposed to be in the movie. I was supposed to be in the back, and eventually I had to go in front because Chris was really good, and they wanted to have someone who can match each other. Basically, almost the same size, a bit taller, a bit bigger. But you know, it doesn't show too much. But otherwise, it was a nightmare. So I'm sure Chris is learning about that right now, also.
I am. I'm learning new stuff right now.
Nice.
I just learned as much as you did right now. There you go.
And so what was your process like, Chris?
Well, I didn't know I was pre-approved. He just said that, and Larry had mentioned that to me a while ago. But I had to go through an audition process, and I had to perform. But fortunately, at that time, I was on the pro tour for competition, so they had it set up kind of like a tournament in the area, just an open area with some guys sitting in chairs, and you know, that was my jam. But there were 100 people there, at least on that day.
I was one of the chair, by the way.
Yeah. And so it was kind of played up to me. But I didn't know that the part, because when we got there, they said all the roles are cast. So I just wanted to be in a major motion picture. I had done some small movie stuff, but this was my first opportunity in a major motion picture. So my agent says, just go. And I went and I saw these people. I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to get this. But I figured I could make it for background. Because that's what I thought I was going out for, was a background. One of the, you know, guys that cheer, yeah, in the background. But yeah, I went through the audition process, and they called back, and it got narrowed down from the 100 guys that were there just down to 3. And then they had a video camera, they're not a video camera, the movie camera, and they were filming me and these 2 other guys. And the one guy walked over to me, and I didn't know he was the director, because again, I was really new to this whole thing.
Wow.
And he goes, they were filming us, he goes, would you guys mind taking off your shirts?
Whoa.
And I go, and so I go, I was nervous, so I go, listen, if it'll get me in this movie, I'll go back to your trailer. Okay, so see, you laughed. He didn't. Just deadpan, just staring.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, whatever this is, I just screwed it up and I'm not gonna get it. But I get nervous, so I get sarcastic and I become a smartass. So
He was.
yeah, I know. And so I luckily, I was in shape, and so we took our shirts off, and the guy next to me, he had kind of a little pot belly, and the guy other next to me wasn't in that great of shape, so I'm just trying not to act like I'm not flexing, but I'm like, tightening up like every muscle I could think of. And they filmed this for like 30 seconds, and then he walks over, and he shakes my hand and goes, "Welcome to Mortal Kombat, you're gonna be Scorpion." Which was like, I had the same feeling. I was like, oh, what? My two favorite characters were Raiden and Scorpion, because I played the video game. I'm a big fan of the game.
Right, of course.
In that order, like,
played Sub-Zero, you refused.
no, I like Raiden and Scorpion. Now my favorite characters are Scorpion and Raiden. So I still don't like Sub-Zero, but that's okay. It's in the DNA. So yeah, that's kind of my story for that. But honestly, like, until last year, like Larry told me the story of like you were in the movie, you just didn't know, and he just confirmed it. He told me that. I go, why didn't you tell me that like 20 years ago? He goes, you didn't need to know.
Yeah, it is true. I mean, what happened, it's very funny because it happened much before the production. I got a phone call from the boss of Larry Kazanov, who was a producer, and his boss was James Cameron. And he calls me, and Chris just found out half an hour ago, and he said, Larry Kazanov. I said, who's Larry Kazanov? And he said, well, he's the president of my corporation, Lightstorm Entertainment. And he said, what does he want? And James Cameron was a patient of mine. I'm a doctor, I'm an MD, passed, I'm retired. But anyhow, he said, yeah, he wants to do a movie, but I have no idea what he's talking about. I said, am I supposed to know? I don't know anything about movie business. It's not my thing. And he said, well, Mortal Kombat. I said, Mortal what? I said, Mortal Kombat. I said, what is it? He said, let's meet. And let's go to the arcade in Santa Monica. Okay. And so now, James Cameron, Larry Kazanov, and I, we're going to the arcade in Santa Monica, on the water. And we're playing the thing. Of course, I like Sub-Zero right away. And my favorite was not Scorpion, of course. Just later. Anyway, so we're playing this thing. Imagine, it was like the flipper. You remember the old thing? Yeah. And he said, okay, let's do the movie, but I don't know anything about martial art. That was a year and a half prior to the movie. And I said, what, I have to teach you everything? Yeah, and we don't have a director yet. I said, okay. And then we work on that with Larry Kazanov, who knew nothing about Mortal Kombat. But one day, he comes with a girl, he says, this is my girlfriend. She was American champion in Taekwondo. His girlfriend. Remember? Dana. And a very cute girl, very nice girl. And that's, and I told her, you have to explain about that and that and that. Then eventually, the director, which is a great director, actually, a really great director. And that's how it started.
Nice.
There you go. You guys are getting the real scoop now.
That is the scoop, because even Chris didn't know about that.
So the next big question is, how many black belts is enough?
Wow.
One.
Is it really?
It's
It doesn't seem like it.
8 single black belt is a huge accomplishment. Mm-hmm. Only 1% of people that start martial arts make it to black belt because it's hard and they give up, and it takes dedication and perseverance. So anybody that gets just 1 black belt is, in my eyes, pretty awesome.
My brother did that.
See, your brother's awesome.
I did not.
But it's a dedication. It's a discipline, a major discipline, dedication to a certain kind of life. And once you're older and arrive to the rank of Chris, of my rank, it's our life. This is what we do for a living, and we respect it, and we want to get more humble every day. Not better, more humble, and respect the technique and not ourselves. Everything is in the technique. So it's, we're really proud of what we're doing, I think. Very fun.
Yes, we are.
Well, shall we throw it to the audience and see if anybody wants to ask a couple things?
Shoot!
You shout. You were first.
Well, great, guys. Always amazing about Mortal Kombat. I especially love mostly the theme music, if anything. But what do you guys think? I guess my first set questions are, what do you guys think of like the overall theme of Mortal Kombat? in general. So what do you guys think about it?
The theme,
Yep.
I think is awesome because it's a martial arts based video game.
Of course.
And Francois and I are in the martial arts business, so it's good for business.
Of course.
I like it.
Chris is so funny, but he's so right. You know, it's so true. It helped a lot for the business of martial art. You know, if you take people like Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee in the past time, they did so much for martial art, so much. And then later on, people like Jet Li and Jackie Chan is different because they're very Chinese. But we are basically the only real Japanese martial artists that really made it in the States, even in other countries. I believe so. So martial art is really good for us. It did.
Nice.
Right here. Oh my God, you're wearing a Parkinson shirt?
Yes. I'm glad
Go
you
on.
like it. It's two-part. The first one's kind of funny. I'm very interested to know what happened with the trailer, if it ever was brought up, because that's really funny, Chris. But the real question is,
What about the trailer?
no, like, I mean, because you joked with the director, so like, I'm curious, like, did he ever later on in the years
Oh.
re-joke about that? Like, you know? No?
No, he did not think it was funny at all.
What, was that Anderson?
Yeah, Paul Anderson.
Oh, okay.
He was not
But see, I
funny
didn't
guy.
know. I didn't even know that was the director. It was just, to me, it was just some guy coming up who was standing by the camera. I'm like, I don't know who he was.
Well, I didn't know that either. I mean, I watch movies now. I just turned 35 today, so like I was.
Happy
only
birthday.
7. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
I was only 7 when it came out, but I remember the movie
Well,
like.
we were only 8 when we filmed it.
Yeah, he was 8, I was 9.
Yeah.
But
One year-
yeah,
1 year old.
1 year old.
No, I mean it's by far one of the best like adaptions. Like I'm not a huge gamer, but I remember growing up, that movie was just like, wow, this movie actually really does a fantastic job in like taking the video aspect and making it a movie. So you guys like kicked ass in that. Excuse my French.
Thank you.
But the real question is, for you, Chris, did you have to were those contacts or was
Those
it?
were contacts.
Okay, so that must have been
This
horrible
is
in the
way
90s.
before they did special effects like
Exactly,
that.
okay.
And they weren't just any contacts. Most contacts are as big as your pupil.
Uh-huh.
These contacts were as big as my whole eye.
Oh, so
So
glare.
it was very clockwork orangish. It took 3 people to put the contacts in every day. One person had to hold my top lid, one hold my bottom lid, the other one put the thing in. And I only wear them for about 3 hours because after 3 hours, my eyes were so red, like it looked like I was the devil. And then they would take them out, and it took a good 30 minutes before I could see normally again afterwards, because they wanted it to look like I was an undead character, so they had to do that. And it was the least fun part of the job, was wearing those. And then when I was fighting Lyndon up on the platform, like I had them in.
Wow.
So we were 25 feet up in the air. That's the other thing. That was a real set. That's not CGI. They built that inside of an airport hangar in Santa Monica.
Wow.
That whole world that you see is all real. It is not CGI. And we were 25 feet up on a platform that was just a little bit wider than this table, doing that whole fight.
Well, that's true. It was everything was done without CGI. It was amazing because now, if you look at any kind of movie, everything is CGI. Everything is meant to pretend. It's not real. We were real. We did everything, and we got beaten for it. I mean, really, we had no stance. We were doing everything ourselves, and it was great. It was really great.
Well, that's why I was asking, because I'm not, like, anyone could correct me, I don't know well, but, like, I was always curious why, you know, you had the contacts and then Sub-Zero didn't. So you were dead? I didn't know that.
He
So
has prettier eyes than I do.
He's so sweet, you know. He's a sweet man.
I
He's a
just-
sweet
yeah.
scorpion.
yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know, that, like, the whole history
You don't
of
know the
that,
back.
so-
Get out of the room right
See.
now. Security, we're here. Take the shot. The eagle's in the nest. The eagle is in.
Yeah.
Remember, I was only 7. I didn't know.
You were only 8, so all right. Stop it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the
Thank
question.
you.
This is a little bit of a random tangent, but because you mentioned being so up high, I have to ask about Mick Foley. And the fact that you were there, and I believe you were a chiropractor at the time.
No,
you
I'm
were
a
there.
medical doctor.
Yeah, so you were there at the time during the Hell in the Cell.
Of course, I was
match.
exclusive to WWF. I was the doctor and head of trauma for all the accidents they could have had.
Do you still have contact with anybody in the wrestling world?
When I see the guys, like they have a few here, they just cry and jump in my eye, and I love it because I'm so emotional also. And I was with them for many, many, many years. And Nick Foley was one of my best friends over there, absolutely.
I just had dinner with him a couple of weeks ago.
You did?
Yeah, he's delightful.
Seriously?
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's adorable. Without
Good
being
chance, meet him.
nice guy. His wife hates me, but he's a nice guy.
Are you a fan of any wrestling, either of you? Have you ever watched any of that?
Yeah, usually when I can't sleep late at night, I'll watch. Yeah.
He watches Monday Raw.
Honestly, I am a fan of the choreography and the stuff they do is pretty special, and you can't special effect that. Right? So they're out there really doing it. Those guys are some amazing athletes.
Now, Chris is absolutely right. This is something I know very well. I had an average of 40 accidents a day, average. And I was exclusive to WWF. And I was on the road with them, and it was a MASH operation, for real. Mick Foley was the most crazy of all, you know. But like Chris said, it's choreographed. It's not fake. It's choreographed. There's a big difference between fake and choreographed.
Yep.
With choreographed, everything goes wrong. Imagine you're in the middle of an arena. We have 30 or 20,000 people. Everything is going wrong. They're sending Coke bottle at you. They're sending cake and sugar and cream and things. And everything goes wrong. So you have a lot of accidents. And those guys doing that over and over and over. And they get a beating that's insane. So a lot of respect for the guy.
Cool. Any other questions out here from y'all? Right down in front here.
Howdy. We're doing Mortal Kombat Conquest, a TV show that I believe was shot around these parts.
Yes.
-ish.
Shot at Disney MGM Studios.
So, two-parter. One, Francois, were you ever approached for...
I was approached, but I couldn't do it.
Gotcha.
It's impossible.
So then, Chris, I know season 2 was allegedly written,
Yep,
and that you were supposed to have a pretty damn big part in it.
that is correct.
Would you be comfortable, feel free to tell me to screw off, would you feel comfortable divulging any bit of information from the unmade season 2 of Mortal Kombat?
I would be very comfortable, but I can't.
Larry still has the...
Yeah.
No. Well, let's hope he gets it. Let's hope we get season 2.
We'll see. I think he's actually talking to Netflix about possibly doing that because the show is on Netflix. You can watch the TV show, HBO Max. It's on HBO
Right,
Max.
right.
So that's who he's talking to about bringing it back and doing another.
Who do I
going
need
into
to
season
fight?
2.
Who do I need to fight?
You just listen. Here's what I tell everybody: send all your requests to HBO, to Warner Brothers, and tell them what you want.
Done.
They honestly listen to you, and I'll tell you guys this about the original Mortal Kombat film: the fight between me and Johnny Cage wasn't in the original cut. In the forest, when he comes running at me in the original cut, he hits me with a jump sidekick and knocks me out.
Wow.
That was the
That's
whole
it.
fight. But they did test screenings. And when they did them, all of you, the fans who watched the test screenings, this is what Larry told me. He said they stood up, threw their popcorn at the screen, and walked out. And he said it didn't happen once, it happened 3 times. There's no way that Johnny Cage would beat Scorpion that easy.
It's
So,
impossible.
but we had that fight was all choreographed, and it was supposed to happen in that rubber tree plantation where we were filming, but movie schedules go long and they go over budget and they run out of time. I was in Thailand for almost 3 weeks and I didn't work until the very last day. But for the whole 3 weeks, we rehearsed every single day. Him and I would go practice the fight, practice the fight, practice the fight. And every day they would tell us, we're gonna get to you tomorrow, we're gonna get to you tomorrow, we're gonna get to you tomorrow. And then it started raining and we're gonna get to you as soon as it rained. And then all of a sudden, we had 1 day left. And all we shot were the things for the Scorpion part and the tree and the reactions, and then the day was over. So then we came back to LA, they did the test screenings, the fans were like, this sucks. So Larry called me up and goes, we're gonna shoot the whole fight scene, we're building this thing in the hangar.
Back to
But it's
San
because
Monica.
of the fans, that's what I'm saying. So if you want something, you tell HBO Max, you tell Warner Brothers, this is what you want, they listen. It takes them a while, but they listen.
This is so true. I absolutely agree with Chris. It's very true. They listen to that. They don't want to lose the public, you know. So if you make up your mind and tell them what you have.
Yeah, they will listen to us.
Yeah.
We're like, we will
They
do
don't
it.
give a
Of
damn
course you
about
want to
us.
do it, you're actors, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, okay, we actors, it's true and not true. First of all, we're martial artists, okay? We're teachers, and we respect everybody, and we have a code of conduct. In the movie business, there's no code of conduct, okay? It's terrible. I mean, it's really terrible. And now the problem is there's so many fakes. So many fakes. And hopefully it's going to stop one day, but you know, they need people like us, actually. True. So
I concur.
Kind of in that vein then, so what would you say bridges the gap between your previous experiences and moving into being an actor? So whether it's martial arts or medical practice, what bridges the gap between those two things?
Well, listen, my martial arts talent opened a lot of doors for me that would have been closed had I not had that talent. And then basically in that business, once you get in, the goal is to stay in. So once I kicked my way through the door, I was like, yeah, looks good here. I'm gonna stick around for a while. So that's how I got involved with it.
Does that involve any
Yeah, but-
classes, workshops?
Oh, dude, listen, the best advice I ever got was from the fight coordinator on Mortal Kombat, Pat Johnson. And he said, because I told him, I go, I want to keep doing this, I want to do more movies. He goes, Chris, let me tell you something. They can take a great actor and make him look like a martial artist, but they cannot take a great martial artist and make him look like a great actor. So he goes, take acting lessons. So I did. I started going to classes and doing all that. That advice served me well over the years.
Now, Chris is absolutely right. I agree with that 100%. For me, it was a bit different because they didn't want to be an actor. You know, I'm not interested at all. Martial art was my life, and I'm much older than Chris. I'm 73 soon, so we have quite a few years different. And
He's 59. He's 1 year older than me.
yeah, well, it's true. I forgot 8 and 9. So
Yes.
yeah, and so yeah, I'm coming more on the part of the martial art, pure martial art. And then unfortunately, I was in war for 3 tours, so that changes a lot of stuff. And then later on, what happened with Larry Kazanoff when he offered me this thing, I mean, James Cameron offered me the things with Larry Kazanoff, I would have never think about it, you know. And then, of course, like Chris said, opens the door, but thanks to martial art, because this is what we did. Now, of course, being an MD doesn't hurt, and then having a special, you know, special practice in the MD. I'm not a normal MD, I'm a surgeon. And in sports medicine, so I find out myself attached to WWF. But never in my life I want to be an actor. I don't have this potential at all. So, but just it's happened, and you know, being a year apart together, and it helped a lot.
One last one. I think we've got time. We got right down here.
Hey, thank you guys so much for coming here to the Orlando and doing this panel. It's an honor to meet both of you.
Thank you. Are you filming this, by the way?
Live streaming.
Are you from the union?
We SAG, you know, we
Yeah.
SAG. For real, no, we
You're
SAG.
live streaming? That's even worse.
It is.
All right.
Well, since you brought up unions, I guess that is something that's on everyone's mind. There's a writer's strike, there's an actor's strike. You guys don't have to comment on it, obviously, but if you want to share your perspectives, I'm sure fans are interested in what you have to say about the current events.
Chris, shoot.
My perspective is the sooner it's over, the better. So I just hope they come to terms with it. There's a lot of people out of work. And it's not just really about the writers and the actors, the crews, the directors of photographies, the transportation departments, the catering departments. There's a lot of people out of work because of this strike. So, you know, listen, both sides have a valid argument. I mean, there's a lot of things that SAG wants us to have, which is great. It's just a matter of them coming to terms and getting this over with so that everyone can get back to work.
Yeah, I'm backing Chris 100% like this. It's just, I hope it's going to stop soon, because it's hurting so many people in Hollywood. And in the movie business in general, not only in Hollywood, all over the place, because as soon as you're a SAG, like, you know, the union, you cannot work. You know, you cannot work. It's terrible. And then the same for the writers, the logistic part, everybody is suffering, everybody.
Yep.
It's true. Thank you both so much for answering.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
All right. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with today?
Yeah, I'll just say that all my answers were AI generated. If it wasn't really me. When I get the letter from the union, I'll be like, that wasn't me, that was AI.
Yeah. I forgot my union card at home, so I hope it's okay.
This never happened.
I was never here. I'm still in LA.
Who?
Well, great.
Well, thank you again for being here with us.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hey, I got a quick favor for everybody.
Yes.
Listen, so many people want to take pictures with us, which is awesome. Could we take a picture with you guys?
Let's do a selfie.
So yeah, we're gonna do a selfie from the stage, but I need you guys to all like pretend you like each other.
absolutely, absolutely.
I'm gonna post this up on my social, so I want to do a group photo. Group photo.
Of course.